I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Perfect. Everything, anything, anything, perfect. Everything, anything, anything, perfect mode. Everything, anything, anything, perfect mode. Everything, anything, anything, perfect mode. Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, anything, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, anything, perfect mode.
Perfect.
What up? Welcome to Perfect Mode. And first off, let me start by telling y'all that we love y'all. We're grateful for the opportunity to be anywhere, sharing our thoughts, and hopefully helping you realize that you are perfect. And the reason why I can unapologetically say that is because I know that you are one of one, numero uno. You cannot be replicated, duplicated. And the only reason, and I mean the only reason you would think that you're not, is if you're looking at this person next to you and saying, I'm not them. But guess what? You are you need. And of course, it's Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. And I have my boy Clay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And we about to get on here and talk about how good could life really be? How good could life really be? What up, Jay?
Happy day. What's happening? What's happening? To all my perfect people in perfect land doing the perfect thing. We are starting our 5th year today with Perfect Mode. Means we have completed 4 years of doing this for a lot of Sundays. This is a beautiful thing. And I'm loving the topic because how good could life really be? When's the last time we really checked in to see how good life can be and if we're on track to go toward it? Oh, so, and check out our Patreon. It's on, the link is in the bio. Go ahead. Yeah.
And checking out the Patreon and checking out the link in the bio, I still want to kick a shout out to Jeff, man. Of course, we appreciate you. You know, everything that you've done to support. Keep on doing your thug thizzle, man. And man, so bro, 5 years is a crazy thing. It's not a crazy, an amazing 5 years is an amazing thing. And it didn't even hit me until you just said it. But salute to you. And, you know, the reason why I'm taking this second just to acknowledge it the way that I should is because how good could life really be? It's all about acknowledging what's right in front of you and not taking it for granted. So definitely appreciate you, bro. But, you know, I want to know what your thoughts were when you brainstormed this and, you know, where you are with it.
Well, one, it's kind of like, I mean, we're kind of mid-year right now. So it's like the New Year resolution, but the mid-New Year resolution in the sense. Just kind of checking in with yourself and the directions that we're going in. Because again, like one of the things that we've uncovered on the show is everything kind of goes in the direction of our thoughts and beliefs and actions. You know, the things that we're resonating with, the things that we frequently think, it affects the reality we live. And if we're not really checking in on our thoughts and things, anything can happen. And I want to make sure we're going in the direction where life is better, and we're actually doing our part to make life better. Like when you're a kid, you dream big. You dream like, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to do this. I want to try this out. I want to try this. But then when you're an adult, you kind of stop. You think you can't anymore. You think it's over, and it's not. Even in this one day, there are so many opportunities to step into how good life could really be.
And I'm going to tell you the thing that comes to my mind when I think about this. I guess first to start on the back end of it is using your example. You're right. Kids' dreams are endless, and you know that hope and that anticipation of things to come is always something to make you feel good because we have that willingness to go out and try to obtain. And then what happens is as time progresses and you don't meet goals or you don't get to where you're trying to get to, there starts to become a domino effect of you having a mentality of lacking or missing or not having or wish I should have done these things. And one thing that I had to catch myself as in being an adult is in any given moment thinking that I'm in lacking or I'm missing something or wishing I would have done something. And so, the approach that I've taken in my life probably for the past 10 years is every time I would think of one of those things, I will stop myself and I will think about what I do have. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And I really want to get to that. Like I'm actually going to kind of like draft out after the show what that would look like for me. Like I've already started back adding stuff or just adding little things I want to try, setting new goals. But I really want to do it like from the perspective of how good could life really be. Like usually we do things based on curiosity. We do things based on, like you said, we might have heard somebody say something, or it just seems like it's the end thing to do. Or maybe in the past, it's something that we always heard that you have to do. And we might tailor our life to that. But what about to our own blueprint? Like whatever we get to choose, whatever we want to choose. And if we want life to be good, what are all the elements in it? And without putting limitations on it, how far are we willing to take it?
So I love that. And again, I want to get to that, but again, this is just my thinking as we're talking through it. The mentality of always feeling like you have to have the answer now, again, puts you in a state of not wanting to continue to dream and build and experience new things. And to your point, the most fun that I've had in a long time. Again, I'm always having fun because I have kids, right? And I get to kind of live vicariously through them and see them dream and things of that nature. But at the same time, I recently told you that I have an investor that I work with. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm a realtor. I have an investor that I work with, and he's graciously allowed me to come and shadow him and work on rehabbing a home. And was a time before I actually started doing this where I would always say, man, I wish I knew how to do that. I would have did this, or I would do this and I would do this. And then having that sense of lacking makes you feel like you missed the mark, right? But again, graciously, he's allowed me to come, and he's coaching me and teaching me and training me. But one of the most exhilarating I had was this weekend when we're in this house, and he was like, okay, today we're going to build an island in the kitchen. And again, just something that I think that I would have imagined when I was younger, but it was far beyond my reach because I've gotten too old. Again, age and time plays a role in everything we're talking about, because we feel like we've missed the marker. It's too late to do things, or I can't learn this now because there's no purpose in me learning because I can't use it. And so, I was like, okay, cool. We're going to build an island, and started, I'm hammering, I'm doing a nail gun and I'm doing it. And then when I looked at it at the end, there was a level of appreciation that I expressed on, to the point where I had to stop and say, man, thank you again. I really appreciate this because it's something that I never thought that I'll ever be able to do. It's something that I never imagined that I would have time to do, and I'm here doing it. And again, the beautiful part of it is building a house aside, once you start to feel like you can still dream and you can still create and you can still be that person that you were when you were a young person, there's a domino effect, because it opens up your mind to what else there's out there to explore, and how the limitation of time is no longer real. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And I definitely say, like, when exploring this, throw all that out the window, throw out all the possible things that could go wrong, all the possible anything. Don't even think about that. Just think in terms like, how good could it be? Like, just dream, act like you're your own genie, that you can grant yourself these wishes, and yeah, exactly, and see how high you can take it. Because like really, because I do enjoy my life. I like my life, but when I think about it, it's like I left a lot of stuff. How do I say this? I haven't been mindful on a lot of stuff. It's like, why not make this fun? Why not do this way? Why not do this way? But I haven't stopped to think about it, to even dream, to even get aligned with something like that. And I think it's, yeah, I think it's in everyone's best interest to do it, especially with, you know, stuff happening in the news. People might be like, oh man, it's getting worse, it's getting this, and you hear all kind of stuff, but it can become what you want it to become. And are you willing to have it become that for you personally?
No, and see, that's the point. And the funny thing is, we said the same thing personally about how we feel about it, and even though it was said a different way. And I think that's the part that we need to explore. You said I hadn't really taken the time to think about how this could be something for me. And the question is why. I said that it gets beyond us. It's like, I'm too old to even worry about the details of that now, or I don't have the time to worry about the details of that. And the question that you should ask yourself is, why do I not have the time if I'm actually thinking? I mean, we don't think about it in the detail that we should in order to expand ourselves, but we do think about it because these type of things cross our mind at any given time, and you will literally say, let me just keep on moving, right? And so that is really a thing that, especially as you gain age or you gain years in life, the funniest part about it is you're more experienced, you're more knowledgeable, you're stronger. There's all these different attributes that increase. And the mentality of it is you can't do, or there's not enough time, even though you become way better. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And I mean, and you know how I feel about time. There's always time to do what you want to do, or to do what you feel is the most important thing that ever needs to be done. Like, because that's one thing I'm amazed of too. Like when I did have the day job, I would do so much in that morning because I'm like, man, I only have a limited amount of time. I got to do this and do that. But then some days when I have an unlimited amount of time, I'm like, I'm not about to do that now. So it's funny how even a restriction can be a plus. And I would say, yeah, but even use that, even use the lack of time to quickly craft what you would enjoy. Because even the act of, even if you do it for 30 seconds, your whole mind shifts. Like you're in a different reality. You're in a reality where you can see all the positive possible things that can happen, or all the fun, joyful, life bringing things that can lift your life up and your mood up, versus just being in a mundane state, or in the opposite state where you're like, something's wrong with this, that's wrong, you're doing this wrong, these people are this, that people is that, judgment. And it's like, nah, let's get back to the fun where our whole life is ahead of us.
And again, that kind of goes to the point that I'm making. Just in the example that you said, there's lots of thinking going on. There's lots of exploring ideas going on. Whether even in judgment, think about and I'm saying this being good as myself. I try not to judge anybody, but because of routine in life, I can look at anybody in any given moment, or I can look at any circumstance or situation, driving in the street and saying, oh man, this, and there's so much energy, so much time given to exploring a moment that we don't realize, and how impactful it is on our life. And so that's the mindset that I'm of now. And there's a book that I read, and I've told you about it. We've talked about it before, called The One Thing. And this book is about exploring doing one thing, the one thing that you could do every day to help you achieve your goal. But just to kind of, I guess, use that in a different way, I'm of the mindset of taking the time to explore any given thought to its fullest and see what you can pull out of it. And the same way that we would explore a negative moment, you see somebody with some clothes on that you think are funny, and you would sit and think like, I wonder why they wore yellow boots with red pants. That's a crazy thing. And it's just a domino effect of you thinking all these things. How about exploring today? I wonder why I am happy when I see the dime on the floor. There's a shiny dime. Oh, I wonder if I pick it up. Like, I picked up a dime yesterday, and I literally thought these things because I'm of the mindset of allowing my mind to dream on things that I feel like are great for me. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even go as far as I mean, you could. I wouldn't even go as far as to understand why you enjoy something. Um, More so explore how you can continue enjoying something, or how you can extend this joy, or bring more joy. Because why is a funny thing. I ask why all the time. That's why I'm bringing this up. Um, why can it can be a dangerous game if you don't allow it right away. But it sounds like you're allowing the answer to come. Like you're not just trying to, it's this, I define it as this, and this is going to be the end all be all. But I know that that's also a different mindset than how good everything can actually be. Like how joyful, how blissful, how, I don't know, man. Like even today, I have not meditated yet, but I know that when I do, it just opens things up. And it's like, why haven't I? I enjoy meditating. I know what it can do for me, but it's just so many things that go into play.
No, and to your point, and that's what I'm saying. Live in it, because we live in all these other moments. You know, we live in a lot of things that we personally don't feel serve us. Something that serves you, like I know for a fact, and I again, this is the experiment that I do for myself all the time. It's driving.
Yeah.
I've become great at this, where I don't allow, you know, being in a car to affect me emotionally. But there are still moments where I see these things over and over again. And as an example, I was driving today, and a person was riding on my bumper. Like they were just riding me real close, right? And normally I would go down like I don't have to pay attention to it. I can be mindful of it so that way I can drive safe, but I don't pay attention to it, is what I mean, right? Yeah. So in the past, what I would do in that moment is I would think of a reaction. I should just push on my brake. Or I would think, okay, when they try to get around me, I'm not letting them get around me. Like there's all these different things. None of this is happening. But these are all things that I'm allowing myself to dream on. These are all things, and I personally know that they don't serve me. So the question that I would ask myself is, if I can just be mindful of the situation, so that way I can, in a sense, be safe and make sure, you know, I'm being mindful of this, of not just this person, but everyone around me that I should be mindful of, yeah, and not live in a world that's not of me, then it changes the whole dynamic of my ride. So yeah, now when this happens, instead of me having this imaginatory mindset, and I don't even know if imaginatory don't matter, but having this mindset of all this fictitious world that's not real, I can imagine something else that is for me. So what else did I want to do? What else did I want to do in the car? I want to write a song. Okay, well now I'm worried about that, and let me just live in this beat for a little bit. Let me just think about what's inside of me that it can come out, and now I'm able to expand myself. And not only that, now look at how much better my world has become. And guess what? The scenario hasn't changed. Only me. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and even in this moment, like I'm even allowing myself to dream even about this, but then everything else. Like what are the areas that I would want to be better? Like, yeah, I want to be in better shape. Am I doing something to foster that? I want to experience even more freedom. You know what I mean? Like just more, not tied to responsibility. Not to say it like that, but yeah, just not tied to it all the time. And even that I've been experimenting too. Like, how do I say that? Because it's gonna sound like I'm not doing my responsibilities, but I am, but just in a shifted way where it's like, let me take care of this, how good it can be first. Like, because this is bringing my energy down. I can't continue to let this bring my energy down. But then I go do something that raises it, and it's like, oh, okay, let's step into this next thing almost. So yeah.
And so and I want to touch on what you said as well. Like the reality is, what is truly your responsibility? And that's the key here. Like for me, like your only responsibility are things that you've made, that like it's only what you've dictated, right? And so at any given time, you can dictate something as not being your responsibility. Like now for myself, my kids are my responsibility in order to make sure that they have food and a home. But you know, one thing that I tell you I do with my son every single day is get up and help him practice basketball every day, right? And I've made that my responsibility. But any given moment, I can stop. And that doesn't mean that that's not his responsibility if he wants to accomplish that in his life. But if I decide not to do it anymore, because at the end of the day, the reality of there are some things that I feel like there's a godly conversation in this as well, but you know, we're not going to go there. But there's only certain things that are responsibilities of mine that I have to do every day, period. And that would be like eat for my, you know, feed my family, and you know, take care of the household, you know, that we live in. But go ahead, Jay.
All right. So using that example and knowing you, like, you want to do that with your son. And like I mean, it's a responsibility, like you said, but it's not a responsibility. And the only thing that will make you not want to do it is feeling the burdens of other responsibilities. And that's the key. Like, if we're really looking at how good life can be, how can we minimize those responsibilities that we don't want to be responsible for? Because I mean, like, responsibilities can be good if you enjoy the things that you're doing, but it's those other things that is like, nah, let me get out of here. Like, it's kind of minimizing those while increasing the ones that you do want.
And that's the thing. That's why I think identifying what you really want is important, and not what you think you want, right? Yeah. And so, like, what I mean by that is, my son wants to go to the NBA. Go to the NBA, nor do I want to coach in the NBA. What I want is to be what I've deemed in my own head a better father my dad was. And I have this construct in my mind of what that looks like. And so this becomes a responsibility for me. My son doesn't understand that. He'll never understand that. My wife doesn't understand that. She'll never understand that, because this is an own self-proclaimed responsibility that I feel for myself. And there's no real rules in it. It's only what I've made for myself. And so again, I can still be, in my own mind, a better father by doing nothing but being here. You get what I'm saying? That's all I would have. That would be the only, if I had to break this down to its core, the only true responsibility in my own head. But then there's levels to it. How much do I want this? How far do I want to go with this? How great could I be? You know, and this is all just things that I'm creating within myself. Again, how great I am of a father, my son has a whole different opinion on that. It doesn't even, you know, if you ask him if I'm a good dad, and you ask him why, he might just say, because, you know, he talks to me every day. I don't know what he'll say. You know what I mean? But in my mind, I said, because I do this, because I do this, because I do this, because I do this. And these are all the responsibilities. And that's why you finding out what really means something to you or resonates in your own world is important. So that way you can set it up in a way where you can live, or, you know, dwell in those places. And shouts out to him, loud. BK, baby, what up?
Yeah. One thing I didn't bring up when we started that made me think about this. He said, "Oh my God, Trump." One thing that made me think about this topic was like crafting the perfect day, right? We had a show on it, talked about it, and I haven't did it in a while. Like last time we did it, I stepped into living my perfect day. But of course, you know, times change, priorities change, things change, and I don't know if I'm fully in my perfect day. Like I haven't checked in with myself to see. But I am still living the remnants of what I deemed my perfect day before. And it's like extending that, yeah, we tried this. Do we want to continue doing this? Do we want to make it better? Like we can do anything. You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we doing anything? Why aren't we choosing it? Why are we so quick to forget that we can in favor of other things that happen in the world? Like the Trump thing. Like some people may look at that and see that as a bad thing, a good thing, is something, or choose to have, like me, I choose to have no meaning of it. I have no idea what it means. It doesn't concern me with how good life could really be.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna touch on the Trump thing as well, based off of what you just said,
Mhm.
but also just kind of just reminding people to keep on finding out what, because again, there's like a definite endpoint on finding out what you like in life. Like people feel like, and I'm saying this because I'm one of these people. I'm not just trying to talk with people I don't know, but what I've uh, witnessed from other people. But we get to a point, and kids do this at some point as well, where we feel like, okay, this is what it is, and we stop wanting to explore the possibilities of liking something else. Um, it's an amazing thought process, and that's the reason why I continue to bring up the things that I do today, because it's me finding out something new about myself. And I want to read what him Lau said real quick. I'm just he says, sorry guys, gotta go college tomorrow early morning. I have to miss your live today. No problem. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
Good luck. I don't know if you're just starting tomorrow or whatever, but you know, you got this. Easy work.
Yeah.
Handle your business, baby.
Yeah, I know him Lau's on the other side of the world, so appreciate you joining us as always. And yeah, good stuff.
And to you know, to the point of the whole the Trump situation, and what you were saying, you know, whether you found meaning in it or not found meaning of it. You know, when I was sitting at the house yesterday, and again, I don't get news updates because I don't want to say that news is not a part of my world, because it is in some aspects, but living in it is not. Nor is the politics of anything, right? That's just not things that I want to allow to just dwell in my head on a consistent basis. Not to say that I'm not wanting to be aware, nor do I try to draft a meaning for something good or bad. Now, this is what I will tell you. Once the notification came to my wife's phone, she let me know. And of course, so that way a part of my world is knowing what the world is doing, in a sense, right? And so what I did was I said, okay, well, let me see what's going on. So I put it on the news. I left it on there so that way I can kind of what's going on. And then after that, I turned it. And that was pretty much the end of it for me, from looking at TV. Then when I got on social media, whenever I got on social media during the day yesterday, because I had to do some work, I went to show some houses and stuff. Then I started to see people's opinion, or see what was going on, or see all of these different things. And then I sat and asked myself, literally yesterday, I was like, okay, you're going down a rabbit hole that's not of you, right? It's that you don't care about people. It's not that you don't want to see that everybody's okay, but that you could spend because you cannot have any bearing on the circumstances or the situation. So what else could you do with your time to be? What else could you your time to create the world that you want to really live in? And then I just stopped, and it was just that. And I hadn't heard anything else about it until just now when him Loud asked the question about it. And the beautiful thing for me is I could hear whispers in the world of people being miserable, in a sense. Because I don't know the word to say, but people were dramatically impacted. Other than the people that were directly impacted, I mean, people that had no, they weren't there. You know what I mean? They dramatically impacted by it, and their worlds were upside down. And that's what I mean. To me, when I think about, you know, how good could life really be, it's like, where are you allowing your life to lie? Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing about like social media is and that's probably something I need to start to limit again too, because it takes your mind in so many directions so fast. Like you might have the inspiration one, then you might have the quote unquote bad news, then you have the conflict where you choose a side, like, oh, I can't believe they did this to this person. Then you have the funny. It's like you're going through these wide range of emotions quick, and you're feeding your brain these things before you even have time to process them. And it's like it's different. Like if you had a goal, if you had an aim, like how could this be better? Like what if we did that with social media? How can my time on social media be served best and am I willing to go toward that? Like because now when you're watching it, you're doing it according to your goal. You're not just mindlessly watching it.
So I'm gonna say this, bro, and I'm one of these people that I think that social media, albeit Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, like I believe social media is the smartest thing in the world. And the reason why I say that is because they really figured it out. It's just like life in a sense, right? Just like I told you, I don't watch the news, but somehow, some way, sometimes the news that is the most impactful news, I guess, will make its way to me, whether it be through my wife, via my kids, or a friend or something, right? But social media is just like that. Social media, it shows you what you're interested in. And if you don't believe me, just try. And I'm talking to everybody out there. Like, when you see something on social media that's not of you, skip past it quick. Don't give it any credence. Don't give it any, life. And eventually what'll happen is those type of things will stop showing up in your feed. It's how I've tested this in so many different ways. I've even tested it with some of my friends, and not like when I say I purposely did it, I would skip past a friend, and then eventually that friend starts showing up in my feed. I didn't have to click on any button and say I don't want to see these anymore. They time and watch to your mind. That's number one. Number two, social media can be set up in such a way that you can get on it, any of them, and look at only what you want to look at. Like, you can look at, like, if you want to have a life full of inspirational quotes, like that's all you care about, you can search inspirational quotes. You can group every group on inspirational quotes, and every time you pop up, that's the only thing on your feed. And again, this goes back to the point that you were making earlier. I haven't taken the time to really delve into these things to recalibrate and say, is my life what I really want it to be? We don't really take the time to say, you know what, on social media, this is the way that I want it to be. When I'm playing basketball, this is the way that I really want it to be. Or when I'm doing this, this is what I really want to do. We may have thought that at a time, and then once we got into the routine of life that we're living, we don't never come back, stop, and recalibrate and say, let me set the record straight. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. The thing too, even with that, even with social media, that we haven't even stopped to consider is, will we want that in our ideal life? And what I mean is, like, every now and then I might take a tropical vacation. I'm on a beach and stuff. My phone is the farthest thing from my mind. It's probably still in the hotel room or something. I didn't even bring it out there because it's so much life that I enjoy. It's like sandy beaches, the beautiful weather, probably in a pool or looking at the ocean, all the waves playing in that. Like, it's so much fun out there. And usually, like, if I'm being truthful with myself, I'll go to social media in like the quick dry spots or bored moments if those are there. But it's not like there are other things that I would rather be doing if I'm being truthful with myself instead of watching social media. And so that's why it's like it's best to try to get to the root of it even before identifying the things that are already in our life, because then we might come to find that, hey, this really has no place in my life right now. And why am I giving so much attention to it? I'm saying this to myself right now because I think yesterday I spent a lot of time on social media, more than I normally do. So yeah.
So this is, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you a quick story real quick, right? This is not a real name because this is involving kids and people that I'm around on a daily basis, right? So just this past week, I did a drill in basketball practice. Kid named Jason Grigsby, right? I have all my kids lined up around the 3-point line in their position that they play in games, right? And I had all of them shoot 5 threes, and we can't threes, right? And some of the kids didn't make any shots. One of my kids was named Jason Grigsby, right? And so Jason Grigsby is embarrassed in practice. Like, he feels a way. Jason Grigsby goes to his dad, Elliot Grigsby, and says, I don't like feeling like this. I don't like not being able to, do this. And so Elliot Grigsby, Jason Grigsby's dad, comes to me and says, "Hey man, my son is sad. He doesn't like the feeling of not being able to do this." And I told him he needs to practice. And he literally, quoted, "Your son is playing good." And he said, "But I told him your son practices all the time." And so I said, "Yeah, that is the fact. My son practices all the time. He's going to shoot better because he shoots more often." And so he asked me if I could talk to Jason. So I talked to Jason, which I talk to my kids all the time. I'm always encouraging them. But I had a specific one-on-one talk with Jason. And I said, "Jason, do you want to play basketball?" And Jason told me, "I don't know anymore. I might want to play soccer. I might want to play basketball." And I said, "Okay, cool. So I'm going to give you a goal of what I want you to do, because you want to do one of the other for sure." And I said, "When are you going to be coming back? This is what," and I said, "Okay, you have 30 days between now and who starts back. I want you to every day for an hour and a half go out and make 400 shots. And then I also want you to go and dribble the soccer ball for an hour. That's 2.5 hours of your day for something that you said once." And he said, "Okay, I'm going to do it." But I said, "But before you do this, I want you to go to your Apple screen time and send me a screenshot of your screen time for the week." So he sends me a screenshot of his screen time and says, when he sent it to me, "It's a lot worse than I thought. It's a lot worse than I thought." And, this is not just him. This is all kids. It's not about, because they're not even on social media. They're playing games on their phone. They're doing all of this stuff. It's summer. And so, but the average that he sent me was about 7 hours on their phone every day that I see from all kids, right? And so I said, "Okay, cool." And he recognized that he's saying that he wants to do something, but he's doing everything else a ton of more than what he says he wants to do. And the reason why I bring this point up and I use this as an example, even in your social media example, is the fact that we tend to get lost and not recognize that we're not doing the things that we want to do. Even kids get lost, and that's where the habit or the routine starts. And that's the reason why, coming back to recalibrate, the reason why I wanted him to send it to me is because I knew that before he sent it to me, he was going to really look at it in detail himself, because there's a sense of embarrassment when you do these type of things. So he had to recalibrate with himself to recognize in that moment, dang, this is way more than I thought it was. And that's what we have to do. What I said, we have to recognize that there's things that I say that I want. There's a life that I say that I want to have. And whether it be social media or anything else, we're not recognizing that we're not giving it its proper love and attention in order to relish in it the way that we really want to. Go ahead, Jay.
Right. And I agree. I think that's good that you did that. And the thing is, for a lot of people, social media, including myself, is how do we say this? Is the best option for quick fun. You know what I mean? Like, you can go on real quick, see something funny, send it to your friends, laugh, real hard or whatever. Like, it's the best option, but it's the seemingly best option because it's at your fingertips. It's right there. You're in the habit of it, like you said, but we haven't really checked to see what is the best option. What are the fun things that I enjoy doing? And I'm sure even with that, like, the things that we think we want to do, we've probably made excuses for why we can't do them or why it's not that feasible for us to do it in this moment. And we say, "Oh, I'll come back to it later. Let me check out this thing on social media first, or let me see what's going on in the world today of social media." And this is not to harp on social media. It's just an example, because I know a lot of people do use it. But it can be any number of things. It could be television. It could be listening to music, even though I would like people to listen to my music. But yeah, it's so many things that we don't realize because we haven't reconsidered what our life is like on a day-to-day or moment-to-moment basis.
And that's the reason why I use the kid Jason Grisby as an example, because they're not on social media, but the same habitual acts that we have translates to kids, right? And the reality of it is, again, I don't want to even you don't want it to be about social media. I don't even want it to be about fun. I want it to be about recognizing what I want, because ultimately, even if you're on your phone playing games, or even if you're on your phone doing social media, or no matter what it is that you're choosing, the question that you have to ask yourself is, am I maximizing this, or am I making this, or helping this along for me to achieve what I'm trying to achieve? And that's the reason why I say you can make social media whatever you want it to be. If you're saying that it's the easiest, and I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying as an example, if I programmed myself to think that the quickest and easiest way for me to have fun is to jump on and look at some posts, and that's not the truth, then I'm lying to myself. Now I could jump. Now, if I have it set up in such a way that I need encouragement now, and the quickest and easiest way for me to get encouraged, me to jump on social media, then you have something there, I feel like. Anyway, the same thing with the kid. If I'm one of at basketball, and like I never have a problem with Brody playing his PlayStation. The reason why is because Brody wants to be a basketball player. That's what he told me. He's 6 years old. He don't know what he want to be, but I believe him in his heart. That's what he wants, right? But when he jumps on, he's playing basketball. He's playing basketball. So now in my mind, I can say, okay, well, what can he get out of this? He's actually seeing them dribble. He's actually seeing them run plays. He's actually seeing how to play defense. Like, he's still doing something that's moving him along in his goal, in a sense, because it's specific to what he wants. I think that's where we have to be. Like, even if you're in the mindset of, I want to be somebody that's continuously growing, well, YouTube, and I can explore all the ideas of things that I've always wanted to do. This morning, when I jumped on, a video that I would have never looked at, and this happened before we got on perfect mode, a video that I would have never have looked at was basics of pouring cement. Why? Because of me doing, like, I'm telling you, it's crazy. But the reason why is because me working on a house has given me the authority and the mentality of, I can grow and I can do things that I've never done before, even if it don't even make sense. So you know what I'm gonna look up today? Pouring cement, and see how to. I don't know if I'm ever gonna do it, but now, feeling that I have in my life, there's a level of enjoyment because I'm believing that something else is possible. But go ahead, Jay.
I'm laughing. I realized what you said. You were saying pouring cement, like cement. Yeah. Okay, it doesn't sound like you were saying something else. And I was like, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was like, what? And you watched the video, like, what's going on? But no. But yeah, but no, that's true. Like, okay. How do I start this? So yesterday I was kind of really planning out stuff with like my album and stuff, how I wanted to be, how I wanted to come out and all this stuff. And it is a lot of work to be done that I saw. But when looking at it, I don't feel overwhelmed. It's more like, man, this could be fun. Like, how far can this take me? How far can I go with this? And the only thing that would hinder it is if I spend all my time doing stuff that doesn't align. Like, even recently, I've been asked to come to certain engagements and things, and maybe speak at some stuff and like just other stuff. And I never really considered the type of events or the type of things I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, of course, these align, like a lot of these that have come to me, thank goodness that it aligns with what I believe I want, but I never really checked in and like, okay, if I could speak at any types of events, if I could go perform at any place, if I could go, I don't know, visit whoever I want to visit or visit wherever I want to visit, like, what are those places, instead of just accepting what's coming. Like, I mean, you should, but it's like a twofold thing. Like you get to choose and accept. You get to do both. And how much are we allowing that creative side of us to actually create?
Yeah, nah, I'm with you, bro. And you know, again, the funniest part about life, man, is the fact that you sit down and you tell yourself what you're not supposed to do and what you can't do. And then when you start to open yourself up to everything else, life becomes grand. That, you know, how good could life really be is the fact that anything is possible. And somewhere along this life that you live, you start to cut things out. And you know, again, just to kind of, you know, talk about even you doing the music and not being overwhelmed because you seeing the possibilities of how much you can grow within the process. You know, even when I think about when we were doing it back in the day together, the way that we were doing it, there was always a challenge in front of us, and we would always have fun trying to figure out how to overcome, how to make people, how to get people to respond to us. And the thing was, it was not the fun and like as hard as some of that stuff might have seemed to some other people. We knew we wanted to do that specific, be in that specific world, meaning music. And so it didn't matter what was tied to it. We was up for the challenge of it all. And it never seemed like it was impossible. We were too old. We didn't have enough time. It was just like, okay, let's put our time on this. Today, we're going to figure out how to come up with an email to get people to respond to us and blah, 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 blah. And then it was a game. And I think gamifying things also helps that as well. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, the thing about I always talk about knowing, like how you can know too much, not know too much, but knowing can stop you from doing things because you think you know how it's the outcome of it, how things are gonna end up. And honestly, all the things that I'm credited for doing well, I don't know what I'm doing. Or it started off where I didn't know what I was doing. And yeah, and I get credit for a lot of things. It's like, I don't know, I just did it. I just tried it. I just keep doing it. People say they like it. People say this, but if I'm being real, I don't know how, like even the act of writing a song, right? I do this with myself all the time. Like, how did that just come about? How did that come out? I never thought about that before. I never had that sequence of thoughts before. Like, how did this happen? And I can't. I don't know if I'll ever be able to answer that. But I just say that to say that you get to make your own rules. Nothing matters except what matters to you. So it's like you might as well do it how you want it. You might as well craft your matter. Like if things are gonna matter to you, it should be things that you want to matter, not stuff that like who cares about what's happening over there or whatever. Like it doesn't matter. But yeah, go ahead.
Bro, no, you hit that though. Like, look, only because this is spare of the moment, we just talking, you know what I mean? But in my mind, I believe the things that I've gotten the most recognition for were things that I didn't know everything about. And the stuff that you think you know, or the things that you think that you necessarily a master of, you don't really get the recognition. Again, that's just me saying it, just me trying to run back all the thoughts in my head of times where I got recognized for stuff. Because I would be like, what, really? Like, and it's just funny. When you don't feel like you know everything in something that you want to do, the possibilities for growth are endless.
Yeah.
It's just endless. But not only that, people can sense in you the growth, not where you are, but the trajectory that you're headed in. And trajectory, I feel like, is as important as what somebody feels like they know. Go ahead, Jay.
But to that, people are their trajectory. Like
real talk.
But like
talk.
Once you recalibrate in a sense and say, you know what, this is how I want my life to be. People can sense that, like, because that's the state of being that you're in, and it's gonna just naturally lead. Like it's just gonna unfold that way because that's the direction you're going in. That's the intention that you set. But without you setting that intention, you can be pulled back and forth. You can be teeter-tottering where it seems like you're in the same space. You can't really stay in the same place, but it just can seem like it because you're just rocking back and forth to whatever is thrown your way. Which again is cool. Like there's a powerful thing in acceptance and allowance. But there's just another side of that coin too, where you get to pick and choose, and then you do that, to as far as you can take it, and then that's when you allow the allowance and acceptance and stuff. But without that other part, it's almost meaningless.
And I want to add that when you actually subscribe and buy into your trajectory, the amount of energy you have is different. It's just what it is. When I first became a realtor, and I didn't have to say anything to anybody for them to know that I had the energy to do it. I didn't have to say anything to anybody for them to know that I was going to push it. You can sense it. You can feel it. You just kind of know. And again, that's not knowing anything. That's having a blank slate and not understanding where you're going to go. It's just like writing a song. When you hear a beat that you know you love and you come up with one line, you just like, if you've ever wrote a song, you can come up with one line in the song and you would literally say, "Oh, I'm this." Like, you just know it. And not only that, if anybody's around you when you're doing it, if they hear it, they can feel it too. Oh, it's about to go down on this. And that's the liking of life. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why I think that allowing yourself the possibility to grow even outside of things that because there are things that we want. Again, how good could life really be? There are a million things that you want that you don't believe are possible today. There are a million things that you want to be that you don't feel like you could be because of whatever the case be. And I'm saying that even for kids, even kids having that limitless mindset, they have hiccups based off of things that they see from adults today. So they still have ceilings that they prescribe to. And the reality of it is you're prescribing to that because of specifics in it that don't necessarily apply to you. And once you lift that and you say, you know what, I'm going to build a house tomorrow, whether I know how to or not, and I really say that I can do it, life becomes better whether I build a house or not. It's better thinking that I can than I can't until I just can't do it, right? And I think that's just a big part of what we're talking about. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and that's how everybody has done anything that they really enjoy doing. They just said, I'm gonna do it one day and don't know how. Like, I remember when I started making my first beats, I didn't have any way to record it. I didn't know anything. Then one day, maybe a couple years later, I heard a commercial about a computer program called Acid Pro that you could make beats on. I was like, yes, get it. And then, like, next thing you know, okay, make beats. How do you make a song? How do you get somebody on it? And it just transformed and blossomed to all of this stuff, but which everything does too. And I say that to say that it's okay to not have the answers when dreaming, because that I think that could be a hindrance in dreaming as an adult versus a child. Like, as an adult, you like, oh, I can't do that because I don't have the resources for that. I don't know people for that. A child is like, I'm gonna do this. You be like, nah, well, what about this? I don't know. It don't matter. I'm gonna do this. And if we can get back to the root of that, of I'm just gonna do this just for the sake of I want to do it. I want to see where it goes. I don't know where it's gonna go. Then it can change a lot.
Bro, dreaming is where the rest of your world is. Honestly, that's kind of how it go. And I love the fact that you mentioned making beats, because my lifetime, my lifeline, or I guess timeline, is kind of similar to yours. Because I remember the most fun I had when I didn't know how to make beats and I made beats. But the reality, what happened was everybody was around me because I didn't even know what I was doing. It's just me thinking about it as a crazy thought. But shouts out to Robert Clay. Pops, we appreciate you joining us today. He said we should think of ourselves not just as human beings struggling through life, but as a spiritual being going through human experiences for the purpose of growth and development. That is right. And I love the growth part of it, and I love the development part of it, because when we talk about taking the moment to explore these things that we've decided to grow in. Just taking a moment to allow yourself to dream within your dream. Dream within your dream. Freddy Krueger, dream within your dream, right? And see how far that goes, because on the backside of it, I've dreamed within my dreams in ways that are not of me. And I talked about that when I was talking about driving in the car. Like whenever I'm imagining what could have happened, I'm dreaming. And then when I start to let that branch off, I'm dreaming within the dream. And so it might as well be towards something that even that you feel like is impossible, the growth part of it, give yourself an opportunity to live in it and then dream within that dream. Go ahead, Jay.
And I would add to what he said for the purpose of growth, development, and just because you want to. Like, what'd you say?
No, go ahead.
Just because you want to. Like, we can't control our desires in a sense. Like a lot of people say, somebody has God-given talent. I don't believe that. I believe in God-given desire. You have a desire to uncover that talent, to develop that talent. There we go. You have a desire to develop it because you're just so interested in the thing that you want to learn everything about it. You want to embody it. You want to practice it. Like you don't just come out the womb knowing how to shoot a basketball, but you might have the desire to shoot a basketball. So that desire, that's all you need. Like you don't got to explain it to anybody. Like, why are you doing this? I want to. Why do you want to? I don't know. And that should be good enough. Like just make it as fun as you want for no other reason than you just want to.
I want to talk about that, exactly what you said, that God-given talent versus God-given desire. And I 100% wholeheartedly agree. And I'm going to use basketball as an example. Michael Jordan was not the best player always. Kobe wasn't the best always. LeBron wasn't the best player always. But I personally feel, based off what I know, the information given to me, they are people that dreamed with the dream. They thought, they dwelled on it. And if at any of their stories, all three people, they were consumed with what they wanted. They dreamed within the dream. Like Kobe dreamed of being better than Michael Jordan, and he lived there so much to the point that he found Michael Jordan and talked to Michael Jordan, and he kept on. And LeBron dreamed to be better than Michael. So the thing is, that's why I said your world is in your dream. Like you can get there. My kids, they want to be in the NBA, fam. And in my entire time growing up, I don't think that I ever met an NBA player. I can't recall ever personally meeting an NBA player. My kids have met, each one of them have met 10 to 12 NBA players. And one is 12 and one is 6. One of the, like, I could have never, their dream is, they're living their dream, they're dwelling in their dream, and it's bringing them closer and closer to what they want. And that's just kind of how it goes. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I know we got to wrap it up. I just want to say one thing to that. I heard a lot of basketball players speak about like their room or show their childhood room. They had a lot of posters up of basketball players, and it just made me think like, what posters are we willing to put up for the life that we want to live, so that it stays on that mind, that when we wake up, bam, it's in our face, we see it. So I would say just to wrap this up, do that. Like craft out how fun you really think it could be. Show images to yourself all the time that align with it, and just go for it.
One thing, and I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'm saluting you on this, because I don't know if you still do this or if you've done this, but and I'm going to actually do this for myself. But in the past, you told me I found the image of a body with ID.
You paused, you froze
back in the day, right? I don't know if you remember that?
You froze.
Sorry. You found an image of the body that you wanted, and you printed it and you put it up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you still do it or not, but that's something that I love, the fact that you just said that. And the same thing can be said about artists or musicians. Everybody have Biggie on the wall. Everybody's have like, are you willing to look at your dwell on your dream and allow your dream to you hit that, bro? Pitches going up this week, bro. You hit that mud. I know we're at the end of the show. I just want to say thank you to everybody that joined us today, to everybody that's being a part of this and helping us realize our perfection. And we hope we do the same for you. And just understand that, you know, your way is the way. And it's important for you to understand what your way is and not get bogged down in the thought of not realizing where you can go. No limits is not true. And shouts out to my girl Shani Ford. Love you. I hope all that with you, Wells with you. And Jay, you can take us out, baby.
Yeah. Appreciate everybody that joined us too as well. If you found this helpful, hit that share button, like, subscribe, no matter where you're watching. And remember, you're a perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode.
Yeah.
If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect.
Perfect.